Welcome, welcome. You and I are back together. This is Tyrone Jackson, the Wealthy Investor from thewealthyinvestor.net. Thank you for joining me. You know I never overpromise and underdeliver. This lesson is going to be hot. This is a stock that I think you should know, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on it. And I think it is going higher. And I think within 52 weeks, you're going to see a stock split. And the company that I'm going to talk to you about in this particular video is Disney. Disney's ticker symbol in terms of stock is DIS. But I want to remind you that if you're watching this on YouTube and you want to get some of my video updates automatically, make sure you subscribe to this channel here on YouTube. Or if you're not watching this on YouTube, or let's say Facebook or Twitter, then you need to sashay on over to thewealthyinvestor.net. That's thewealthyinvestor.net, and sign up right here for that free stock market success newsletter. If you have money in a mutual fund, and you want to learn how to trade and invest in stocks, then the Wealthy Investor Program is for you, because not only do we invest for the long term, but we make monthly residual income selling covered calls and collecting dividends and a whole lot of other things that most people don't do because they don't have a financial education. So make sure that you're here at thewealthyinvestor.net, subscribe to that channel so that you and I can make some great things happen working together. Now let's talk about Disney stock. Disney, as you know, is a proud member of the Dow Jones Industrial Average for quite some time, and they deserve to be there. I'm going to share with you three reasons why this stock price is actually going higher from here, and I'm going to show you some proof as it relates to something called fundamentals in the stock. So the number one reason that I think Disney stock price is actually going higher, actually, you know what, before I do that, let me just show you a 5-year chart of Disney, because a picture is worth 1,000 words. And let me tell you a little story. This is Disney in the stock market. Its ticker symbol is DIS, also known as the Walt Disney Company. And look how the stock has performed over the past 5 years. Now, you see this dip down here. If you've been following the Wealthy Investor Program, you know by now that this is what's known as a dip, which is followed by retracement, particularly in the Dow Jones Industrial Average. And then for those who are technical fans of the stock market, we have something called a breakout. And Disney really fits that criteria. It is the stock that just won't quit. And also in the Wealthy Investor Program, you know that we don't marry stocks, we only date them. And how long do we date them? Until the company stops making money, and we call that money top line revenue. But I want to show you something here that's really interesting. The stock went down to a 5-year low of about 30 bucks. Can you see that down here? About $30. If you had picked up shares, but nobody knows the bottom, like when the stock is actually going to hit, right? But if you had picked up shares at, let's say, $35 a share, and you just bought $1,000 worth of Disney stock less than 5 years ago, your $1,000 investment, because the stock has taken off, would now be worth what? Over $3,000. That means that $10,000 in this great Dow component is now worth over $30,000, and $100,000 invested is now worth over $300,000. What does that mean? Follow the Wealthy Investor approach. Why? Because if you in that scenario, the last scenario, $100,000 turned into $300,000, do you realize you could sell off some or all of your Disney stock, and you can pay off your house, your student loans, or buy a brand new house? That's the power of trading and investing in the US stock market and great companies like Disney. So if you like this picture, as I'm sure you do, we're going to get to the fundamentals here in a second, then you need to open a trading account and start investing in the companies that are doing well. Now, the number one reason that Disney is actually going to go higher, there's actually 8 of them, but I don't have time to get into all 8 of them, but I'll give you 3. The first is Disney Shanghai. Now, Disney Shanghai is going to open up a whole new audience to Disney, as well as Americans who will now make Shanghai a destination travel, because when people travel from all over the world, one of the things they like to go to is something that's familiar, that's like home. Well, this theme park, which is currently under construction and set to open in the last quarter, October of 2015, is going to bring in billions. Why? Not only in terms of admission to the park itself, but Disney makes most of its money off of what? Merchandising, right? And hotel stays. I mean, they're in every single segment of the travel business. So Disney Shanghai is going to cause the revenue, that top line revenue, to rise at Disney. Okay? Now, let me just show you the income statement so you can see for yourself. Here, for those of you who don't know, publicly traded companies actually have to report their earnings on a quarterly basis to the public. It's part of the law here in this country. However, in the Wealthy Investor Program, for those of you who know, on a Dow component, we only follow annual revenue because the companies are so well established. We don't have to watch their revenues on a quarterly basis. You see here, annually, Disney's on a different fiscal year than, let's say, they're not on a calendar year, so their year ends September 29th. See these numbers here on Yahoo Finance? You can find this all for free. $42,278,000,000 on their top line. What is their top line? That's their total revenue for the year on this abbreviated income statement. A year later, the revenues went up to 45 billion, and then after that, 48 billion. Now, I teach this in the Wealthy Investor Program in a little bit more detail, but this is really important because when you go from 42 to 45 to 48, what happens to your stock price? It actually rises. And that's in part why we get this stock price rising. So the question is Disney a better trade as a covered call, right, or an investment? Won't get into that. You need to be on the next. I'm going to tease you a little bit. You got to be on the next Wealthy Investor teleseminar series because I'm going to go into how we would make money monthly off of Disney stock that is 100% guaranteed. But here's what you need to remember, that when this top line revenue is growing and we scroll down here, and this is the double whammy for anybody who's investing in stocks. This is the net income applicable to common shares. When that is also rising, your dividend is safe, and that puts extra pressure on the stock to rise 95% of the time. So we've got a wonderful looking picture here on this Disney chart. Why? Because the revenue is there to support the stock price rising, and then we've got Disney Shanghai, which is going to add to that top line revenue, and we're also going to have what? The hit of Frozen and Frozen 2. Now, a lot of people disagree with me on this, but this is how the game is played on Wall Street. In the case of Disney, the movie is really a kind of infomercial for what? The merchandising, the products, the princess dresses, which are sold where? At Disney resorts. So they get those products produced very cheaply, and then it adds billions of dollars to the top line. And finally, what else is happening in 2015 or 16? The release of Star Wars. Now, if you recall, Disney purchased Lucasfilms in the entire Star Wars series for $3.2 billion back in 2015. Some of that was cash that went to George Lucas, and the other part of it was stock. So therefore, George Lucas has a vested interest in these stories doing really, really well because he is now one of the largest shareholders at Disney. You see, when you don't get a financial education, you're not in the game of stock picking, and it is all a mystery. But what I do for you at the Wealthy Investor Program is I demystify the stock market so that you can participate in the story stocks that have established revenues, so that almost all of your stock picks follow this pattern. Now, obviously, past performance is no indication of future results, but I'm going to make a prediction here. Within the next 24 months, the stock is going to go to $150 a share, and it's going to split 2 for 1. If you don't know anything about how to trade and invest in the stock market, again, head on over to the wealthyinvestor.net. Get on one of our absolutely free teleseminars and learn how to use a stock like Disney as a long-term investment or to generate monthly income selling in and out of the money covered calls. We all have a lot to look forward to, but I am really looking forward to what's going to happen as a shareholder and a teacher as it relates to Disney. Tyrone Jackson, the Wealthy Investor, saying stay open, keep an open mind, stay positive. There's a lot to learn and a lot to gain.